The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and draft out my basic body pattern. Hi, I'm Sarah, and on today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to draft a corset pattern. So like I said before, we are going to go ahead to draft out our basic body pattern. Now if this is something that you struggle with, or you are struggling with, or you're just not good at it yet, I do have a tutorial up on the channel on how you can draft a basic body pattern. I will be leaving the link up on the screen here and down in the description box and also in the comment section, so you could go ahead and check it out, learn and help yourself be better. Now that we have our basic body pattern drafted, I'm going to go up from the chest line by 2 inches. And if you measure it from the top, which is the shoulder part, you'll be getting 6 or 6.5. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my apex line. So you do your under bust divided by 8, and that will give you your apex line. That is the most accurate way to get your apex line in check. At the top part here, at the shoulder part here, I'm going to divide it by 2, and whatever I get, I'm going to mark it. That will become the apex line for the shoulder part. I will be connecting that line to the apex at the bottom that we already have. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and now get our dart lines. So on the parts facing towards the center, I will be going out by 1/2 inch. On the parts facing towards the side, I'll be going out by 2 inches. So basically we have a 2.5 inch dart. I'm going to go ahead and use my straight rule to put all the lines together. You see where I started from. I started to measure this 1/2 inch and 2 inch at the under bust line. Don't start from the bust line, the under bust line, and then from the bust line you want to go down by 1 inch, and this will help you create a curve. And basically your dart is not supposed to start from your bust line, but if you wanted to start from your bust line, you can. But in this situation, we do not want that. So I'm going to use my curved rule to create a curve from that 1 inch that I came down by, and the 2 inches that we went up by, I'm going to be labeling new chest line. So that's my new chest line. So on the sides of the dart that is on the new chest line, I'm going to go out by 1/4 inch on the part facing towards the center and 1 inch on the part facing towards the side. I'm going to use my straight rule to connect this from that point to the bust point, to the bust line point. You get what I'm saying? Okay. And I'll use my curved rule on the part facing towards the side to create a curve. Now on the bust line area, I'm going to be going up by 1 inch, and then I'll come in by 1/2 inch. This is to enable us create like a center for this, right? And then what I'm going to do next is use my curved rule to create a curve from that point, that 1/2 inch, all the way to meet the apex line of the 1/2 inch that we already created. Before we do any other thing, I'm going to go ahead and mark out my bust measurement divided by 4. So for me, mine is 10, and I'm going to be marking out 10 here. I'm also going to be measuring out the dart that we have here, which is basically 1 inch, and then I'm going to add my sewing allowance of 1.5 inch. Now you do not have to add a sewing allowance of 1.5 inch because it's a corset. You can just go ahead and do 1/2 inch sewing allowance to make it a little tighter, but I'm going to be using a zip here, so I wanted my sewing allowance to be present on the pattern paper, so when I go ahead to transfer onto my fabric, I wouldn't have any problems. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and create a curve from that point to meet the armhole line. Not new armhole line, it was always there, but yeah. Then now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and create a curve at the top of this part from the new chest line down to that 1/2 inch. and from the armhole side here I'm going to be going up by 1/2 inch, and this will be to create a new armhole line. I'm just going to use my straight ruler to make a straight line, and then my curved ruler to make a curved line. From the new chest line, I'm just going to make a curved line into the new armhole line, and I'm going to cancel out the old one. When you focus on this part on your pattern paper, you see that the side facing towards the center front is bigger by just 1/4 inch from the side facing towards the center. So what we want to do is go ahead and measure. Sometimes it could just be 4.1, sometimes it could be 1/4 inch. So you want to go ahead and put back what you have, basically place back what you have on the center front. So when you go ahead to cut it, both of them would at least be on the same page. Now that you go ahead to measure it again, you see that both of them are 4 point whatever yours is. I'm going to go ahead here from the bust line down by 2 inches, and I'm going to roll straight from the apex line all the way to where I have my 2 inches that I just ruled out. The next thing we're going to do is take our main measurements. We're actually done with the whole drafting, so we're going to go ahead and do our main measurement. So you want to do your under bust divided by 4. You measure out the dart, whatever it is that you use for your dart, whether it's 2 inches or 1 inch, just go ahead and put it down. And then you do the same for the waistline. Your waist measurement divided by 4, your 2.5 inches for that, and your 1/2 inch, or in my case 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. You can go ahead and do 1/2 inch if you want. It's a corset, you want it to be really tight. But the thing now is, I am going to be using a zip for mine, so I want all the measurements to be accurate. When I go ahead to transfer on my cloth, I will go ahead to remove what I don't need. On this full length part, you know what I did, right? My hip measurement, the dart, and then sewing allowance. I went up here by 2 inches. And for the yoke part, I'm going to be trying a queen and neck to see how I like it. So I'm just going from the top of the neckline and just taking it all the way down to the apex line, and that will be my yoke for this very corset. Now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and close the side that I am going to go ahead to cut first on the side part. Stop at the bust point, right? And then you start from the bust line and also stop at the apex line. You want to cut so close but not too close as to cut the whole thing off. Go ahead and slide this under one part and then use your tape to hold it down. Now you'll notice that one part of it has shifted, right? So we're going to just go ahead and make straight lines across. Now we're going to go ahead and cut the remaining parts out. Another part that shifted when we closed our dart was the cup area. So I'm going to use my French curve to just make a curve from the old curve at the top down to where we have our dart leg for front. And you see that that is complete. Now you can go ahead to cut this out. Now to create the 3-part cup, what we're going to do is put both cups together and use our tape to hold this in place. From that point, we're going to measure 2 inches from one side to the other. Just keep marking 2 inches until you get to the other part of the cup, and that part at the top is going to be the first. You have the first, second, and third part, and that's how to create a 3-part cup for your corset. Now before I go ahead to cut this, I'm going to label it 1, 2, and 3, and I'm also going to be placing arrows to show me what goes where when I finally go ahead to transfer onto my fabric. After which I'm going to go ahead to separate this. Now this is what the front pattern looks like, and let's go ahead to do the back. Now for the back, I already went out to also draft my basic body pattern, but the only difference is there's no side dart for this, and this has a zipper allowance. This is also going to have a yoke, but the yoke is going to be of a different kind. What I've done so far is get my apex line, and I've gone ahead to also label this. So from here I have 22 inches, which was actually the initial length for the entire top, right? So from the bust line here, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. Remember, in front we go down by 1, at the back we are going up by 1. Here I went up by 2 inches. You can do 3 if you want, or 4. And then I'm going to create a dot of 1/2 inch on both sides and connect it to the line at the top and at the bottom part. At the top part here, we're going to do our bust measurement divided by 4 plus our sewing allowance of 1.5 inch. At the underbust here, we're going to do our underbust measurement divided by 4, then the dart, which is 1 inch, and our sewing allowance. Y'all, please, I need you to pay attention to this. So on the full length line, I went in by 1/2 inch, right? And this is going to help me get rid of any bulge. On the zipper allowance line, I also went in by 1/2 inch. So now I have 1 inch, but 1/2 inch on both sides, right? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is take my full measurement. That is now our new zipper line. So for me to take my hip measurement, I'm going to come from the inside of the 1/2 inch that we did, and then take my hip measurement and then my sewing allowance of 1.5. At this part here, I'm going to be going up by 2 inches, and I'll use my French curve to create a curve. The yoke of the back, we're going to come down by 1 inch, and the width for the front is going to be the same for the back, just 3 inches or 3.5 inch, whichever one you decided to use. And from that 1 inch, I'm going to also come down by 1 inch again. And at the chest line, I'll be marking 4 inches. So basically that will be what you use to create your curve for the back yoke. Love to hear your voice. This is what we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and label this and go ahead to cut. You've been gone for way too long now. If I can lay down beside you, I would. When nothing really matters, that's all I wanna do. I hope that you are safe and that I will see you soon. If I can lay down beside you, I would. Even if you're gone, I won't. Like we did for the front, I'm going to be labeling this 1 and 2 and 3, and I'm also going to put arrows to show me where what is going where. Okay, so for the front, I went ahead to put it together because I didn't want a dart showing in front of my work. I did not just want the dart to show. So I went ahead to use my tape to put this together. And that is everything for the drafting of this corset. I hope to see you in my next video where we get to transfer this onto a fabric and then put it together. With that being said, y'all, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified when I post a new video. Don't forget to love yourself because I love you. Have a beautiful day or night, whichever it is you live for. Bye.